DIY or Die, Walker Vapor Group LLC, or any of its associates do not condone nor encourage the use of nicotine, vapor products, or any mood-altering substances without the explicit consent of a physician. The content viewable on this channel is strictly for entertainment purposes only and not meant to be seen as informational or educational. Must be 21 years or older to view these materials.
Silky Pete.
Well, hello, people. Here we are. Welcome to the MIXINVIXENS. It's the chit chat show, and I don't do the intro, so that was all messed up, but it's okay. It's okay. We're all here today. We're going to do the chit chat. I guess we should have flipped a coin. Emily's not here. It's Thanksgiving in Canada, so she's spending time with her family. And here we are. Let me introduce Lumi. How are you doing today?
Peachy.
Am I too animated?
Just right.
Just right. I heard Rin giggle over there. She probably thinks I'm way too animated.
I mean, most people are compared to me.
Most people are except for
Penis.
Yeah, they're not usually animated. And when they are kind of funny though. They kind of use the walk thing. What have you guys been up to this week?
Rearranging my flavors. I'm pretty much done.
Which flavor? Oh, reorganizing your flavors?
Yeah, like that white thing right there. You can see a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Oh, your normal shelf is missing.
Yeah, it's moved over here. And I bought new shelves, so I have 2 more racks. Actually, 3 more racks of those acrylic things, so more of my flavors are in those.
Did you throw away any flavors?
No, I just rearranged them. I wanted to get rid of the back thing because I turned what is behind me, which is a desk, into my cooking station because I wanted to. But I had to get rid of everything that was on top of it because I wanted to use the desk as like the flat surface. And I was like, well, I don't really like it being like that anyway because it's kind of unstable. Because Blue likes to climb up all the way to the top, and it kind of like does a little shimmy every now and then, which isn't good, you know? So got rid of her pole, which she's not thrilled about that either. And moved the shelving all the way over here.
Got it. My mixing room is a disaster, so I'm staying here in my painting room for a while. It's not really a disaster. I just haven't really organized anything in a while, and I kind of enjoyed my blue background. What have you been up to this week, Lumi?
Whole lot of stuff, yet nothing at the same time.
That makes sense. I like your hair.
Oh, thank
What
you.
color is it this week?
It's periwinkle, and then the roots are purple, so it goes from purple to periwinkle.
Did you do that yourself?
Yep.
Nice. Mine is just lightening up on its own, little by little, getting where I'm trying to go with it. I'll decide later what I'm going to actually do with it. Right now, I'm just enjoying doing things. Anybody mix anything this week at all, since it wasn't a mixing week for us?
Bayless.
I tried to do a peanut butter apple cookie because Wayne did something similar recently, and I was like, oh, I like peanut butter and apples together in real life, and it's kind of outside of my normal flavor profile. It's like, oh, I'm gonna try that. It's still being worked on. It's not bad, but like it's ironic because one of the people in his chat was talking about how all they get is cinnamon from apple filling. They don't get any apple. And I remember I used to, But when I made this recipe, I tasted 0 apple from it. It just was cinnamon, which is fine, but I wanted apple. So I ended up having to add some. So I don't know what that means, if anything. It could just be the flavoring is a little bit older. I'm hoping that's what it is, and not me not being able to taste yet another thing. Because
Well, there's a lot of people that have that problem with it because cinnamon is just such an overpowering flavor sometimes.
but I used to be able to taste it. I distinctly remember it used to taste like the inside of like an apple pie. So something changed.
I like apple filling. It's the only cinnamon I can use. Let me put it that way. So I'm one of those people that I do taste a little bit of apple, but if I mix it with anything else, the apple is delicate.
Yeah. It could be the
Especially
cookie
if you're mixing it with
taking
peanut
over.
butter.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. So I'm hoping it's nothing. It's just I freak out because like I've already lost so many flavors.
Yeah, I get it.
But yeah, so I mean,
Hopefully
it's
you'll go around and they'll come back eventually.
lemon. It's been like 3 years, so I doubt
Yeah,
it.
I was gonna say it takes like 3 years for your perception to change. So it could be a while.
Yeah, I don't think strawberry and lemon, I think are just gone. But so that's what I did. It's steeping, and then I did a blue raspberry gum. I haven't tried it yet. I'm not
I
too
did an
much.
apple pie tobacco this weekend.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not finished yet either. So I guess when it starts getting fallish outside, I guess we start playing with those deeper notes, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm like I said, it was Wayne that like his profile inspired me, so I'm not going to take credit, but I will say that every like fall is when I really crave like cinnamons and gingerbread type flavors. So it definitely does happen.
Yeah, and I'm craving some eggnog right now, but I'm leaving that to the side because we have some pictures that might call for it.
Yeah.
But you, Lumi, you just did Bayless, and Bayless
Yep.
still tastes delicious to you.
Yep.
Yep.
You can still taste it.
Yep.
Because I know
We
my
have-
dad, like he vapes like single flavor, like it's just the same recipe.
I think that's why I like it so much, just because it's just if I'm in a funk, it's easy just to, I know exactly where to put it in the bottle, just add my premix, it's just good to go. And I haven't lost my taste for it. And for me, it's a light flavor still. So I'm not looking forward to it disappearing if it does.
Well, I mean, it's always good to have that easy go-to mix. I make my strawberry coconut milk into a one shot so that I can just mix that easily, you know? So I get that. I get that very easily. And I've vaped that for 2 years now on rotation, but it's my everyday main vape. And then I do rotate it with like if I start to feel like I can't taste it anymore, I'll rotate it for Game Over Custard, which is one of Will's recipes. And he made that years and years ago. I mean, like 6 or 7, maybe even 8 years ago. And I'll still mix that. It's more complicated. It has got so many flavors in it. So I usually make that in a big batch because the longer it steeps, the better. And that's what I'll use in place of strawberry coconut milk for my cream profile. Other than that, I'm just doing a blue raspberry. Well, it's more raspberry than blue, but it's blueberries and raspberry together kind of mix. We have some questions from the chat.
I'm choosing to ignore them. I don't want to make cornbread.
Somebody asked, what's your favorite cake to use in a combo? We'll start
Fluffy
with
white
Lynn.
cake. Fluffy white cake and either yellow cake or white cake, depending on what it is.
And
Guess it
I like
depends on
to,
what cake you're going for.
and I don't usually do cakes by themselves. I usually pick one cake and then use a cookie with it to make it richer. Because again, I have a bakery texture problem where I don't taste texture at all. So I usually have to boost up the texture to be able to taste it. And that's how I use the cookies. Anybody else? Lumi, your cakes?
It just depends on what kind of cake I'm going for. If I'm going for like a buttery no, a dense cake, or a cake with no butter. But normally when I do cakes, I'm normally going for buttery. So my current favorite has been Philadelphia butter cake. And I can never go wrong with Flavor's pound cake.
Yeah, and I did leave that part out. I usually my combos of cakes are almost always Flavor West and a Wonder flavor to add to it, or I use biscuit from Inawera or FA cookie to add the bakery note. And I'll tell you what, if I want it to be a lot thicker, richer, and darker, I'll use Flavor West graham cracker. That's how I do my cakes. Now for sweet cornbread, I don't. That's the answer for me. I wouldn't put together a sweet cornbread. I've not succeeded in that department, and I've tried a couple of times, so I just don't. Have you tried that, Rin?
Doing what?
Making a sweet cornbread.
I thought of doing it. I don't know that I ever did. And if I did, I didn't like it because I would have remembered. I want to say no.
I don't really plan on using cornbread per se, but I guess if I had to sweeten it up, I would consider TPA's kettle corn. Go with it. Kettle popcorn, whatever it was. And then I think everybody uses one-on-one cornbread.
Yeah, and I have one-on-one cornbread, and that's okay, but I have to use it so low where all I get is the AP notes out of it. Really popcorn-ish.
It'll be easier for me to, instead of typing responses, just to say it if and when I can, because I get distracted with the chat. Flavor West white cake is still a good cake, even though it's not the same as the fluffy cake. So if you can't do Wonder flavors for whatever reason, you can use the white cake, and just you'll have to add like a frosting note to it.
I use Flavor West white cake out. Which one is the one that's like a sponge cake, like a Twinkie? From Flavor West?
The yellow cake, or the they have one that is supposed to be like a Twinkie. It's like
I know and I'm seeing the picture in my head, but not the name. You know what I mean?
creamy cake.
Huh?
Creamy cake.
No, I don't think it is.
Creamy cake, it is.
Creamy cake, it is. Do we have any other questions in the chat that you guys can see?
I don't think we're gonna be relying on questions.
You don't think so?
No, we're gonna have to rogue it and then throw in questions, answers, and stuff when they come in. There's not a whole lot going on.
We have some Eddie Toonies in the house. Hi, Eddie. Say hi to some people. How many people we have watching? We have about 13.
Creamy sponge cake.
What is it?
Creamy sponge cake.
Creamy sponge cake. That's the one that I like. The creamy sponge cake is the one that I use the most. I don't know why. It's not buttery, but I can always add butter with one of the cookies, especially if I use SSA biscuit, their biscuit. It has a lot of buttery notes to it. So it's good to me. Any new flavors that you guys have tried? Excuse me. The Purelum. Anybody try anything new from Purelum? Like that strawberry, fizzy strawberry.
I've tried that in the past when I could taste it.
I bought a new flavor, but I have to relocate it because it got squished from my veggie, so it made a mess. So I gotta I gotta unsquish, salvage, and clean my bottle before I can try it. I think it was the Vape Train buttercream frosting.
Oh no.
What did you think about that?
I haven't tried it yet. I have to clean it up a bit.
It's a good one.
I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I haven't single flavor tested in a minute.
I'm dropping stuff all over the place in this room. Hold on. I almost dropped the computer right now. Did you see that move?
Yeah, don't do that. I can tell you I tried one-on-one big popsicle stick and couldn't really taste anything. So, that was a thing. Wonder Flavors cotton candy jelly bean. I tried because so many people raved about it. I still don't.
What did you think?
I don't understand the hype. I'm gonna be honest. But my tongue is broken, so it's like,
Yeah, but I mean, that sometimes is the best, because then that means that the flavors you use will be stronger than what most people would consider them. And that's why you use them so low, and why it works for you is because you're using like flavors that have that punch to them, because you can't taste very well.
Well, I don't know that it's the problem I'm referencing is like my muting. Like I literally just can't taste certain flavors. So what they're tasting could be something I just can't taste, is what I meant.
That's
the
true.
Percentage thing, like I've tried it, low and high, and it didn't make much difference. Yeah. Well, I was thinking about it today. I was like, because I have not been as active on my own channel for like a while now, and part of the reason is the fact that I can't taste anything, and it's like I don't trust my taste buds, and if I can't really trust my taste buds, how am I going to tell other people, how a flavor is?
Well, because you can tell them what you taste in it, because taste is subjective, so everybody's going to taste it completely different.
Yeah, it just feels disingenuous, because like I could be like trashing a flavor, but it's like, can I even trash it when I don't even know if I'm tasting what I'm supposed to be tasting?
That's something I've been struggling with lately, like especially when you're mixing for other people, because not even just you, I taste things differently. Like people will be like, I can't even taste the fruit in your recipe, but for me, it's a front note. Yeah. So it's like,
and that's how I am with lemons. All I taste in lemons is that citric acid, that like from the rind, from the outside. It doesn't matter which lemon it is. And I hear a lot of people rave about Flavor West lemonade.
Yeah,
I can't do it. But weird enough, something like grapefruit that is supposed to be runny, that tastes good to me. It's like I taste more layers in that than I would in a lemon, which is so strange.
Yeah. That's part of the reason why I hate when other people test my stuff. Like I've given like stuff to Wayne to taste, and it's like, oh God, like what is he gonna say? Like, it's not strong enough, da 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 da. And it's like, well, do I mix it to what percentage? That's what I think I'm gonna do. Like if I have him do it, because I just like to get feedback. Is have to like adjust percentages to what I think he'll actually need. But then there's other recipes that he's tried that were fine, so it's kind of hard.
Whenever I've had Wayne taste any of mine, he's usually surprised, okay, which I don't know why, that it tastes good. Or because by the flavors that are in there, has some preconceived notion that that's not going to work, and then he always says it's not sweet enough. So whenever I give him anything now, I add the 0.5% super sweet, and then when he goes back to the bottom and reads the notes, he's like, you put this in here for me, didn't you? I was like, yes, because if you make it as prescribed the way I made it, you're gonna say it needs sweetener.
Yeah, I mean, he adds it to almost everything. Like, part of me like wonders like if all he tastes now is super sweet, and that's why he likes everything.
Well, he's, you know, when you mix, I recently looked at like 2 or 3 commercial liquid recipes that a friend of mine showed me. And in all of those recipes, you know, the average percentage really is 2%. I tried one of those recipes with the 2%, and if they're not using super sweet, a lot of times they're using Flavor West or TFA, and sometimes they're using cotton candy on top of that, which makes sense because using the cotton candy, they're smoothing out any rough edges in the recipe. And I guess muting it down some because they're using such high percentages. And then they're adding the super sweet to make it really sweet. And it balances out real well. I was scared of one of them because it was like 2% sweetener and like 1% cotton candy. And I was like, this is going to kill my coils. But in all actuality, because the other flavors they used in it don't have a lot of sweetener in it, it didn't kill my coils. And it wasn't a cream, it was more of a fruity dessert. Well, more like I'd say it was more like a popsicle or a lollipop, something that would be sweet. It's supposed to be sweet, but not, it didn't have any bakery or any cream notes in it whatsoever. So it didn't kill the coil fast. It actually, I vaped it for a full week before it killed my coil, even though it had 2% sweetener. And I think they used Flavor West on that one and 1% of cotton candy, and it still didn't kill my coil. So I was quite impressed. And I'm sure that that recipe was pretty good in retail environment. It was strong and it did need to steep. And I guess in a lab they would homogenize it, maybe warm it up and have some of that stuff go out of it. I don't know. For me, it took a week, even though it was all just, it had no creams. It still needed to steep, but it was just because of the percentage. Of course, when I did my own version of it, because, you know, when we DIY, we no longer like their version of stuff. Plus, we know how much of it is not necessarily, how much of it is actually over flavored, that we can use a lot less, steep a lot less time, and still enjoy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I can't use super sweet. There's like something, I think it's the citric acid. I don't know that I'm allergic, but I think I'm sensitive to citric acid.
I
It's like
personally don't like super sweet either. I use Flavor West sweetener in almost everything.
yeah. If I have to, that's the one I use. I
Yeah,
also
and
got
I do use it a lot in anything that is just fruit. I use about 0.25 in anything that's just fruit to smooth out my edges. That's what I call I'm doing. I'm not using 0.5 and I'm not using super sweet. It's a small amount and and you know, I use a lot of flavor art, which already are not, they're inherently sweet, but they're not sweet. They're not candy. You're never going to make them into a candy unless you add sweetener to it. And it's still going to taste like a natural candy.
what
And some of Flavora's flavors are like that too. I'll tell you which one surprised me. Has anybody here tried the Flavor Art green strawberry yet?
yes.
Did you enjoy that?
I liked it. I could actually taste it, so that was good.
Does it remind you of Flavora's Alpine?
No.
It reminded me of Flavora's Alpine, just a little bit sweeter, a little bit fuller. I enjoyed it better than Flavora Alpine, actually. But I mean, I know that's blasphemy to some people, but for me personally, I enjoyed it better.
Yeah. I wonder if I made notes. Really
And
bad
somebody
about
in the
writing
chat,
them.
while you look for that, asked a question. They said, off the top of our heads, what flavoring would you use in a nice fall pumpkin recipe?
I have yet to find a pumpkin I like.
VSO pumpkin.
I'm gonna have to break down and try that one. I use
Do it.
I guess I have yet to find a good pumpkin too. I build around the spice note and usually use a cheesecake note. And so it's usually a pumpkin spice cheesecake. And I have used carrots from Flavora. very, very small amount with TFA pumpkin. I've used is it pumpkin pie that they have?
By who?
Yeah. That's about it. Those are the only two I've found that I like. I mean, sometimes you can use the TFA. Is it sweet potato that they have? There's some yam. It's yam. TFA yam is the one that I've used in place of. I try to avoid pumpkin flavors because I haven't found one yet. And I mean, 9 years in the run-in and I still haven't found one I like. So I mean, I'm gonna have to try VSO because maybe that one's it. Everything either tastes so natural and like an actual vegetable, or is just a spice with no body. And maybe it's just a hard flavor to make.
For me, I take special pride in the pumpkin because at first, when I was starting to create this stuff, pumpkin was one of the things I really, really wanted. And I tried everything. I've tried all the liquid barn pumpkins, like the Hankson pumpkin. And it just got to the point where I was even considering like sweet potato and yam flavors to try to get around it just because I couldn't find anything authentic.
Well, Hankson was pretty good too, but I mean, it's hard to source that.
But it's still not that great in comparison to the VSO pumpkin, which I take pride in because I just nagged the crap out of VSO. I was like, Swaggy, please make a pumpkin. We need a pumpkin. Please make a pumpkin. And then he made the pumpkin, and it is by far my favorite, and in my opinion, the best pumpkin out there.
Well, I definitely will have to order that one so that I can check it out and maybe use it. Because I do like pumpkin pie naturally, like during the season. I like to eat it. However, I do cover it the hell out of it. I mean, there's a sliver of pumpkin pie and it's all full of whipped cream. So am I really eating pumpkin pie or am I eating whipped cream?
Both.
Flavored pumpkin pie. Whipped cream, pumpkin
flavored,
pie flavored
whipped
whipped cream. Yeah.
I'll never, and I always laugh a little bit because I remember I was on a show with Mike, rest in peace, and he was asking what is something I'd like to see come out, and in that show I was like, if anybody can make a pumpkin, I think it's VSO. I think it's Swag. I really want Swag to make a pumpkin. So there's proof.
I wonder how long Swag had to work on that.
Probably
just last year.
No, it's been out for a while, hasn't it?
So was it out last Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Okay. I should have got it then, so I'd have it now. Because now he's going to run out because we just told everybody to check it out.
Yeah, I've definitely used it. I don't even know for how long, but I can go back to the show that Mike did and be like, all right, so this is when I was harassing Swag, and very shortly after, we got pumpkin.
How often do you guys visit the groups now, the DIY groups? My own personal question.
Never.
You don't go on Facebook and check them out? How about you, Lumi?
I've kind of just been in like a weird funk lately, and I'm sure people have noticed because I've also not been on Twitch. I've really not been around much. I'm kind of just trying to reset myself and trying to make changes in my life to make it a little bit more enjoyable, I guess. So I've not been anywhere. I've just kind of been.
Well, I still visit and I still have groups that I admin in, and I've noticed an influx again of people DIYing, right? Well, one of the things that I keep seeing is them asking about why these companies don't give them the recipes. And my response is, we have a lot of talented mixers in the DIY community. Why would we want the recipes from companies that had that, that was their creation, that was their company, wasn't easy when you can there's so many recipes out there. talented mixers everywhere.
At first, I thought, like, when I first started mixing, I thought I was going to be like, do I really need to hide my recipes? Because the people I started like talking about it with before I met Fresh were like, oh, all my recipes are private. All my recipes are private. And then I met Fresh, who is just like, give everything to the people. Let's help them all quit smoking. So I'm very much for just giving that information out. And if somebody has a commercial e-liquid, I don't care how much work you put into it. Some people will still buy it, but maybe release that information for other people who can't buy your commercial e-liquid anymore.
Well, I see that point. I just don't. And that would be their choice, though, right? So I feel, in my opinion, that company should have the choice to do that, but we shouldn't demand it of them, because who are we to tell them to give us something we didn't work for? You know what I mean? Especially, what if they're still selling it overseas?
Yeah.
What if they still have a line somewhere else, and that would stop those people from buying their product because they can.
But at the same time, that could make or break somebody going back to cigarettes if that's their one thing that they have and they can't get it anymore.
I guess I get that point, but
I see both sides of it. I more so want to keep helping people the best I can. So
I mean, I do too, but I also, when I buy something or when I make something, my art, let's say my art, I don't want somebody to say that I need to go put it outside because there are sad people in the world that need color in their life. You know what I mean?
Watch you on your stream.
Yeah, I think for me, it's the entitlement. A lot of, and this is probably going to be like mean or whatever, but I feel like a lot of new vapors that come on are just entitled. Like, they want things given to them. They don't want to look for stuff. And it's like, I'm all about helping people, but at a certain point you have to do work yourself. I'm not just going to give every single ounce to you, because I mean, I don't know. I think you should have to work.
I think that gets me to the entitlement, them wanting the way they word it and saying they should, or I don't see why they don't. Sometimes there's contracts. I mean, how do we know what that person's position is, or how much they suffered when their company broke down? This was their baby. You know what I mean? That
I definitely see that, and I totally agree.
And they might have a hard time parting with it. I mean, it might go out there one day, but right now, shoot, all these people are suffering in the industry. And yes, they might have made buku bucks, but why are we jealous about that? Good for them. And not necessarily we, but some of the people that I see in some of the groups. Because we don't care. We know how to make what we like, right? And I just wish people would try to find what they like as well, because they would probably figure out that it's more enjoyable.
I know so many people that once they started DIYing, they couldn't even go back to commercial e-liquid because it was just such a life changer to not be suckered down with the amount of sweetener and coil killing that's in there.
Yeah, I agree. I have found the same thing. So it's kind of one of those things. And I was kind of bitchy the other day in one of my responses, and then I shut down commenting because I wanted to. And then one of the other admins came behind me and just deleted the whole thread. She was like, God, Jennifer.
You starting shit? No way.
I was kind of bitchy. And then at the end I said, and yes, I took the last word and I'm shutting it down. And I shut down commenting, but I left it up there. Just me being, my bitchy self.
Yeah.
And I think it stayed there like overnight. And then the next day I went back and looked and it was gone. And I was like, one of the other admins was like, Jennifer, stop it.
And I think for me, why I'm kind of like bitchy about it is I've been doing this for so long, and back when I started, we had to do everything ourselves and figure out things for ourselves. So it's like, I don't know, maybe that's part of why I feel like they should put some effort in to do, a little research, whatever, instead of
I find that too. You know what's really scary? When we started, at least you could go into a vape shop and have them help you set a coil one time, and you could see it done in front of you one time. And there were so many videos and nothing was out there. So we had to hunt it down, and we learned a lot through, what is it? shoot.
ECF.
ECF, yeah. And they would post pictures, and we learned how to do stuff that way, right? But there was always a vape shop not long after we started, when modding came around and we were actually building coils, that you could go to, and somebody would be sitting around and they would be building their coils, and they would just be chit-chatting. And I mean, that's how I learned how to build coils. I walked in there, and one of the guys, I was like, can you help me? I don't want to blow myself up. And I remember I was scared to death because everybody was like ohm laws and all this overcomplicated shit. And I was like, but I mean, there was a lot of mech mods, but I didn't have a mech mod, so I didn't have that damn problem. But however, I still was so afraid because on ECF, they were talking about shit blowing up all the time and how careful you needed to be. But he sat down and he made and I'm talking about round wire. And I think it was like 28 gauge, maybe even 30 gauge. Cause it was in the back in the old days where K-Fun was my shit. That was the only thing I had to build on. And he built it for me. He put it on there, and those were hard to set. But in the last month, I've gotten 2 messages on my private message from people that I've met in the industry. One of them called me. It texts me like at 10 o'clock at night. You know, I'm an early bird. I'm in bed at that time. And he was like, so I ignored it. And I didn't know what he was texting about. I was like, I'll talk to him tomorrow. And he said, I need to know what's wrong with my coil. As soon as I fire it, it catches fire and breaks. Right? So I was in bed and I ignored it. And then I decided, let me see. And I opened it. When I said that, I was like, up. I was like, oh my God, wait, what do you mean? I was like, please send me a picture of your coils and how you're setting them. He sent me a picture, and I had to help him through pictures and back and forth, him sending me pictures, show him that it was because his coils, you know, he had bought some of the framed coils or something like that, and he had them too squished together, so it was arcing in the center at the top, the little line. So he had a short, and I was like, oh my God, you're fixing to blow up your mod. Not actually blow up your mod, but you're gonna ruin your board with that. Do me a favor, take that coil out, grab another one, take a lead out, take one of the things out, use a screwdriver, set it back in there, and then just space it a little bit, because those that you have that are pre-made are arcing. And if this is the third one you put in and they did that, they're likely all going to do that. They're probably just too close together and touching in the wrong places. But then after that, I don't ignore those messages from just random people that are just in DIY anymore, because there's no help out there. There's nobody to show them. And I have all my videos, you know, a lot of the things that I do also is, Grim Green, that's who I learned to do all the things. So I send his videos of how he places coils, old videos. And I set them over there. You know, another thing, he has a recycling, how he cycles his cotton so that he can use it longer. I've sent that off. We have to have these in the back of our pocket to help people in the DIY community, because people are jumping in. Coils are getting harder to find. They're trying to do, and they don't have any assistance anywhere.
I remember
Vape shops are closed in a lot of places.
I remember when I first started vaping, it's around the time vape shops could no longer help with the coils and stuff like that anymore. And I bought the drop RDA, and I just remember there's always cloud chasers that weren't employees in the back of the vape shop building. And I would go back there and I was like, can you supervise me while I put a basic round wrap on here? Because they're already doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's how I learned too, with the cloud chasers that were out there. The vape shops didn't set it, but
I remember the vape shops specifically telling me, like, we can't help you with that. Like, we're not allowed to do that stuff anymore. And I was like, it's insane.
When that started happening, I was one of the people that I would go to the vape shop and hang out in case somebody came in and needed help. They were my friends anyways, but I used to just hang out there. They had a little lounge area. And if somebody came in, I would help them set their coil and stuff like that. I don't have time for that crap, and I'm not that involved like I used to be. Plus the vape shop has changed a lot. You know, they sold it to a more commercial type business, but it's just sad that that's no longer around, the community aspect.
I remember back when I was going to the vape shop, every Friday I would bake something for like the employees and all the people that went to like the little lounge area. And I'd sit there with my little Tupperware container and we'd just chat and help people, because a lot of people at the time were, the vape shop was selling them. It was the TFE 12 Prince tanks, and the coils would never sit in them properly and they would leak. And I figured out like ways around like the threading, like if you warmed it up, cooling it down, warmed it up, cooled it down, you could actually get the coil threaded in. So I would sit there, and if people wanted my home baked goods, they'd come over and eat on them, and I'd work on people's RDAs.
Yeah, those were the
And
good
then
old days.
afterwards,
I
we'd all
remember those
go
days
play
too. I
pool.
miss them. But I mean, I don't think I'd have time, but we don't have that anymore because now they hand them a disposable pod and say, here you go. This is it. And it's okay. It's okay to do that too. I'm just saying that there are people still that are under-recognized that still want to, that can't find their coils. So they got tired of switching tanks and stuff like that. I don't know. Anyhow, let's get off that soapbox. It's 6:43. Do you guys do we have any other questions in the chat? If not, you guys want to wrap it up?
It's fine. I've been looking. I don't see anything here.
I don't want to hold anybody up, and we're just chit-chatting about the good old days. Just help where you can, and don't ignore. The moral of the story: help where you can, and don't ignore those private messages, because it could be somebody in need.
It could be the difference of stopping somebody from going back to cigarettes.
Yeah. I get inundated. I was getting inundated. I stopped answering a lot of questions, but now this was a wide awakening the other day. I was like, oof, can't keep doing that. Could be dangerous. So what are we doing next week? Next week we have the
Judges.
The review show. How exciting. I got a message from Sam that I better put my recipes up so that he can decide which one of mine he wants. So I'll be doing that after we get off of here.
I can't believe I put mine up before you.
Huh?
Yeah, you're slacking.
I put mine up before you. You're really slacking.
You did. That's a real slacker week.
Shame.
So
ding,
today,
ding.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody in Canada, anybody watching from Canada. Thank you for joining us, and everybody that's here, and anybody watching us on the replay. Let's thank all our friends out in the vaping community, like Bull City, Wayne, Flavora. Anybody else that we're missing?
You're not gonna do Emily's like, if you want to support us in a fun, tasty way.
No, I'll leave that up to you. Go ahead, Rin, do it. Go,
if you like what we do and you want to support us in a fun and tasty way, you can check out our one-shots. We have stuff at Chef's. DIY e-juice, is that what it is? I don't remember the name.
Flavor Chaser.
There you go, we got that. We still have a couple at Flavor Jungle. The Jungle of Flavors. I don't know what they call themselves anymore. We still have t-shirts. I think it's Swaggy Shane, so you want to check those out. You can get those too.
I don't even know if those are still up, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
well, I guess you can get those. Yeah, and if anyone doesn't know who Wayne is, it's DIY or Die. We always say Wayne, but for new people, it's DIY or Die. Check him out. He has a YouTube channel, Twitch channel, and a website.
And Facebook.
Yeah.
Also, I am officially done making 510 stands, but I still make stainless steel in NI80 braids, jewelry wire, if anybody needs those. But I am officially done in the stands. This is my last stand right here going to Addie Tooney.
Yay. Because everybody loves Addie and all his advocacy stuff. And thank you so much, Addie, for always putting up the advocacy stuff. It's important for people to get involved, to at least know what the heck's going on out there. Anybody else have any last words?
Nope.
So 1, 2, 3. Bye, guys. See you next week.